Hello, everyone. This is Yvonne, the Queen of NOC. I am currently working on Harris's numerology chart. It is the second of many celebrity profiles to come. It felt appropriate to start off with a political series of the celebrity profiles to include the four main candidates for president and vice president. My objective is to help you discover how numerology can be a great life guiding tool. Plus, you get a chance to learn more about your favorite celebrities and discover what makes them tick. Now, before I get started, let's go over a disclaimer. The information presented is intended for entertainment and general interest purposes only. It is based on a simplified interpretation of numerological principles and should not be considered as a definitive or comprehensive analysis of an individual or their life. Use your own judgment and discretion when considering the information presented, which is intended to be for what is intended to be nonpartisan in nature. Okay. With that being said, today we will focus on 10 tidbits in Harris's numerology chart, mostly related to her full name given at birth, which is Kamala Devi Harris. And I hope I pronounced that correctly. She was born on 10/20 of 1964. By the way, you will have an opportunity to access the full numerology chart, which will include over 30 numerological concepts and explanations, including name numbers, birth numbers, and predictive numbers. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, the first tidbit relates to her life purpose or her mission. How is her little light shining today or on earth? And that number is called the expression number. Sometimes it's called the destiny number. She is a number 8. Number 8 is about leadership and authority. You only need to look at her career and how she has advanced to the role as the Vice President of the United States of America. Also, ambition and drive. You only need to look at, again, her rise in her career in politics, and it shows no matter your opinion of her, that she definitely has drive and determination to believe that she can achieve those different levels. Also, financial and material success. I do not know her net worth, but I'm sure that she is pretty wealthy, as well as in terms of a life purpose. When the number is 8, the expression number, it's about responsibility and justice. And the fact that she picked a career in law, it is a good match for that type of energy. So let's move on to tidbit number 2, and it relates to how others see her. And that is her personality number, and it's the number 8 as well. And so that is about people seeing her as being a leader, being an authority, being ambitious. So it's similar to what we discussed for her express number. So I do want to talk about some of the challenges that she has to consider with a personality number of 8. And that is a perceived sternness. A number 8 is about business. It's about building and being in authority. And so, if you're not careful as a number 8, people can perceive you as being very stern, um, and unapproachable. So that is something that she would have to be concerned about, as well as people may see her as having a difficult time balancing power that she has and authority with the ability to have compassion, being able to have empathy for individuals that you are dealing with. And it can be on different levels, from family to friends to employees to the citizens of the United States. There's no limit, okay? Also, um, people may perceive her as needing to have work life balance because she is ambitious. She may put a lot of work into her career and achievement, whereas her personal life or even her self care may lack. Okay. Tidbit number 3 relates to her inner self, her heart's desire, what she desires. And that is the soul urge number, and it's a number 9. And so her heart's desire is to be a humanitarian, believe it or not, and to be able to make a contribution to society. Okay? And that's wonderful. So some of the things that she would have to be careful of in the process is not setting healthy boundaries, or setting the necessary boundaries, so that she does not overdo it with other people because she's wanting to make a difference, but perhaps what is asked of her may not be ideal, but she has to learn to balance that out. And coupled with that is this sense of over idealism. And that is where you want to save the world. She wants to save the world. She wants to make a difference. She wants to give everybody access. And that is a high commitment and expectation, but she would need to learn to take a more pragmatic approach to achieving her goals. Like, what is reasonable or realistic? All right. Tidbit number 4. Number 4 relates to the table of inclusion, also called the table of traits. Now, that's basically a simple box that you can draw, and then you're able to determine how many of the root numbers 1 through 9 are present in the person's name. So, in her case, all of the numbers 1 through 9 are present except for number 6 and number 7. And whenever you have a number that's missing in your table of inclusion, that represents a karmic lesson that you have to learn. So you have to do the work necessary to build that trait within yourself. And so let's talk about some of the issues she may be having, or she has in life, with having a missing 6. 6 is about building community, building family, is domestic related. It's about building relationships, taking on responsibility. So when a 6 is missing, then there is a chance where that individual is lacking that nurturing approach to others. And so if it's a woman, you may say, well, she's not very nurturing or motherly, she may not have children, or if she does have children, her relationship with her children may be distance. So that's something that she would have to work on. And also, um, there's a tendency for Kamala Harris to want to focus on her profession or her ambition over really prioritizing the nurturing duties that come along with family or even building friendships. And again, we have to remember she's currently the vice president of the United States of America. So that's even having a challenge with connecting with its citizens. Okay. So she also is missing the number 7, and that relates to someone who has the ability to experience introspection. They are able to go within and to analyze their situation. They are typically more spiritual or philosophical. They have a lot more intellectual depth because they're processing and they're thinking and they're thinking about things. So because she's missing the 7, sometimes Harris may struggle with spirituality. She may not be very spiritual, and that's okay. I'm not judging one way or the other. Some people are secular, some people are spiritual. That's just the way it is. What the point I'm trying to make is she's challenged to really experience introspection. And really, Donald Trump is the very opposite of that. He's really into introspection and analyzing. And so they're very opposite. Now, because she is missing a 7 as well, she doesn't necessarily spend time really processing things and really thinking deeper about information. She prefers to be more practical, I guess. Well, it doesn't mean that just because you go within, you're not practical, but I'm just saying she's more likely to deal with what's on the surface of things, not go deeper than that. She may not prefer solitude, frankly. So let's look at tidbit number 5, because I did spend a lot of time on 4. So number 5 is about the planes of expression. The planes of expression simply means how a person feels the most comfortable expressing themselves. And you can express yourself on the various planes, but one is going to be dominant over the others. Now, there are a couple of approaches that you can use to determine a person's planes of expression. For this exercise, I used a simple plane. So we're looking at the planes of physical, emotional, mental, and intuitive. So in Harris's situation, her dominant plane is mental. So um, she's objective and rational, but she's also detached emotionally. And what makes that even more of a challenge is because of the fact that she is missing 6 and 7 from her table of inclusion. So she can really be detached or seeming to lack empathy. So she has to make sure that she balances that out. She also has to make sure with her plane of expression of mental that she trusts her intuition, that she doesn't second guess herself as much, but that she's able to really think through a process and trust her judgment. Um, with the mental, one of the challenges is the limited spontaneity, or someone who's not as spontaneous. And with Harris, that's a challenge because it's almost like she doesn't like to be caught off guard. Um, she's analyzed something, she thought through a process, and she would rather therefore discuss what she's had a chance to think through than to be put on the spot, or someone moves her cheese. All right. Tidbit number 6 is self-expression. How she expresses that's unique from others, especially those in her family. And that comes from the key. The key is the first name given at birth, and that is Kamala. And Kamala, the it totals 3. 3 is about being charismatic, sociable, and optimistic. Now, some of the challenges that comes with her key, though, is to make sure she doesn't scatter her focus. Now, that's a challenge for me because I have many interests, and sometimes when you have many interests or you have a lot of irons in the fire or many responsibilities or projects, if you're not careful, you can throw energy at too many of those projects. So, what Harris has to learn to do is be very specific in terms of how she directs her energy. Something else that I thought was interesting as it relates to a challenge that comes with her key of 3. And again, this exercise is nonpartisan. I think that everyone, though, can relate to this, and that is her tendency to, or seemingly to, avoid seriousness. So a number 3 again is someone who's charismatic, can be um, fun loving and free spirited. They can be moody too, but when it comes to something serious, it's not always ideal to lean into laughing, or what some say cackling, all of the time. It just seems so unserious. So that's something that Harris will really need to work on, is when it comes to serious or complex matters or situations that may make her feel uncomfortable. She's going to have to really work to avoid sort of like laughing it off, and perhaps it's just nervous laughter. It happens a lot, so I don't think she's nervous all the time, but I don't know her personally. But I'm just saying that she really needs to work on the cackling. So tidbit number 7, it relates to her cornerstone, or the first letter of the name given to her at birth. It's her perspective, what she leans on, and it is the letter K. And K makes her diplomatic and cooperative, as well as she has this determination about her. Again, she is ambitious. You really have to be an ambitious person to believe that you can advance to the highest office of this land. Not everybody is that ambitious, so you have to give it to her. And even if people don't believe that she deserves it, or some believe she does, but there's a determination about her. Now, there are some areas that she really needs to be concerned about, but I'm going to really focus on the one that relates to hesitation and indecisiveness. That is an issue as it relates to her cornerstone of the letter K. And she wants to again make a contribution to this society. She wants to be diplomatic. She wants to help everyone, it seems, but there needs to be a sense of balance. And so, whenever there's a situation that involves conflict, then she really will need to work on um, working through that conflict from a realistic approach, and not get stuck or feel stuck and begin to overthink or be indecisive, especially in a moment where it's critical. So that's something that she would really have to work on in order to be the most effective, as even now in her position as the vice president of the United States. Okay. Tidbit number 8. It is how she completes tasks, or how she approaches the finish line. And that is the capstone, or the last letter of the name given to her at birth. So it is the letter S. And some of the traits of the letter S that she expresses, Harris expresses, is adaptability, willing to change, and also change in terms of working with others, cooperating. And so also she has a sense of resilience. When there are obstacles, she has learned to push through those obstacles. And ambition is like an underlining theme, it feels, that's running throughout her numerology chart, because the capstone, in terms of how she completes tasks, she remains ambitious. She has this drive. Even if she's shaken publicly, she still within herself has this drive. Tidbit number 9. It relates to the qualities and the strengths that Harris relies on when life throws her a curveball. Now, I call this the balance number. And the balance number is the total of her initials, KDH, and it totals to the number 5. So, again, it talks about what happens when life throws her a curveball, when it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? This is an emergency. So, Again, 5 is about freedom. It's about adapting. It's about change. Now, in her situation, though, um, she tends to look for a way to escape the situation, or at least bring new energy to switch it up or change the situation. And I hate to bring this up, but I thought about her first interview since becoming the nominee for president, and how there was pressure on her to do an interview, an unscripted interview. And when she finally decided to do an interview, she brought her VP pick with her, Tim Walz, and people started passing around memes calling him a support pet and a support bear, a support VP. And I'm sorry, but that was kind of funny. But it made me realize that, in a sense, when she had to finally go do an interview, because she promised it by the end of that month, she couldn't escape doing the interview. So what did she do? She brought Tim with her, which was new energy. She switched it up. So, but she does really need to work on how she faces difficulties or emergencies, because there's a tendency for her to avoid the commitment, or try to avoid the difficult emotions that come with that situation. So, again, some individuals just prefer to not have to process the emotions, but just not have to deal with them at all. So, number 10 tidbit that you might find interesting in Harris's numerology chart, and it relates to her emotional core. And it is derived from her first vowel, and that is the letter A. And again, ambition and drive, it just seems to just flow right through and throughout her numerology chart. And so her first vowel confirms that sense of being ambitious, that sense of having drive, leadership, and a desire for achievement. All right, so those are the 10 tidbits from Kamala Devi Harris's numerology chart. I hope you enjoyed them. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share, and have a great day. Bye-bye.